Hello students. So today you're going to take vocabulary video notes. Remember, this is the kind where you have to write down what you see, the definitions and the terms, and then you have to draw the pictures that you see. I give you a grade for like the best that you can draw, like do as many details as you can, because I usually can tell when you put like 30 seconds worth of effort instead of like a minute. So do take a little bit of a while, make sure your drawings are clear enough that if you go back and you see it, you know what that picture is, and I know what that picture is. And then, of course, the original sentences. That means making up a sentence based on the vocabulary word and using it in context. I will do one for you, like I always do, and then you do the rest. So the first term will be pH scale. pH scale refers to how acidic or how basic something is. So here's the definition. It's a scale that measures how acidic or basic a liquid is. For example, let's look at the actual picture and then you'll draw it after a minute. And if the video is going too fast, remember to pause it, rewind it if you have to, and then catch up. So every liquid in this world can be, and out of this world, can be categorized as very acidic, which is this word right here, such as battery acid. If you touch your hands to that, you'll eat it away, because it's good at stealing electrons. So usually acids are good at stealing electrons. And then, or very basic, like soap. Soap, like say right here, is pretty basic, which is like the opposite. And usually if they mix, like if you mix acid and soap, or like an acid and a base usually, they tend to kind of like balance back out. In the middle, neutral, which means like in the middle, you have things that are water, like water. And the scale goes from 0, which is very acidic, like acid, like the acid in your stomach is very acidic, to 14, which is very, very basic, which can also be damaging if it's way, way too basic. Too acidic, too basic usually is damaging to animals or plants. And then you want things to be more in the middle for life, such as water, which is right perfectly in the middle at 7, which 7 is neutral. So this scale from 0 to 14 is how we measure pH. Make sure you're paying attention and rewind it if you didn't get it, because it will be on the next vocabulary quiz. Alright, this one should be a fairly easy drawing. Go ahead and draw the scale. Remember 0, very acidic, 14, very basic, and 7 in the middle is water. Alright? So the original sentence I came up with today, and underline the term within the sentence, is what does the pH scale measure? I'm going to underline pH scale. Do you see how I use the term pH scale in a sentence? Do the same thing. And you can make a question like that too, or it can be just a regular sentence. But make sure the sentence makes sense and it uses the words correctly. If you didn't catch that, rewind it. Watch it again if you have to. For number 2 is acid shock. Acid shock is when the pH of water increases because of acid rain, which we learned about today. And when the pH of water increases, instead of going to 7, maybe it becomes like 4 or 3 on the pH scale. It can kill animals and plants in the water. Let's look at some pictures. So this picture, you can see a bunch of dead fish, and we think that what killed them was a factory, maybe upstream, released a lot of chemicals into the water. Or it could have been acid rain, because sometimes it's hard to figure out the main source or the primary source. And anyways, the acid of the water was too much for the fish, and it killed them off in the hundreds. So here's another picture. If you look at this picture here, so this is what a normal egg of a salamander is, which is an animal that lives in the water. And you see that it has like the eggshell here, like the embryo. And then how it's affected is a lot thinner. And then here is also a 2-week embryo, and how it's affected here when the pH changes from 7 to 5. That change can really affect the animals, especially when they're very small, they're babies inside, floating around in the water, and it can kill them off. So again, acid shock is when the pH of water increases and becomes more acidic, kills animals and plants in the water. Go ahead and come up with your original sentence, and this is the picture I want you to draw. You don't have to draw a picture of the whole, all the little fish and stuff. Just draw like a lake, and then with the word acid increasing, or acid increase, which means that the animals would be affected. That's acid shock. The last term is acidification. Acidification is when the acidity level of soil, which is like dirt, if you want to write the word dirt in parentheses, you can, increases, affecting plants and animals. Okay, go ahead and make up an original sentence, and here's the picture you should draw. And by the way, it should be 3, not 2. So here's the picture you're going to draw eventually, but let me just explain it very fast. You can see the clouds coming from the probably the coal burning plants. They become acidic because of the release of sulfur, and nitrogen, and then becomes nitric acid or sulfuric acid. It rains down on the ground, and then the ground becomes more acidic. So then the ground becoming more acidic leads to this very dry land that cannot be, even if it's wet, it's leached with chemicals, and or the chemicals leach away the nutrients from the soil, and not a lot of good things would grow on it. So acid can affect soil, especially when there's a lot of acid, and it can prevent plants from growing there, and little microbe animals that live on the ground too will be affected. All right, go ahead and draw this picture as best as you can, and remember to come up with your original sentence for 3. I will ask you to type in those original sentences during step 2, so make sure you do it. Have a good day.